When I was president in 1979, I made my definitive speech about drugs, and I called for the decriminalization of marijuana. This was in 1979. Not for the legalization, but for the decriminalization, to keep people from being put in prison just because they were smoking a marijuana cigarette. And I pointed out that nobody should be punished worse for smoking a cigarette than a cigarette would be to them if they smoked it. But now we have, for every person who was in prison when I went out of office in 1981, there are 8 Americans now in prison. And most of those Americans who are in prison, and most of those Americans who are executed with a death penalty, are African American or Hispanic or other minorities, and also people who have a mental problem. You cannot imagine a white male man who has money being executed. So the death penalty in America and putting everybody in prison because they have marijuana is a very major step backward, and it ought to be reversed, not only in America, but around the world.
What do you make of the legalization of marijuana and the states that have legalized marijuana?
I'm in favor of it. I think it's okay. I don't think it's going to happen in Georgia yet, but I think we can watch and see what happens in the state of Washington, for instance, around Seattle. And let the American government and let the American people see, does it cause a serious problem or not? All drugs were decriminalized in Portugal about 10 years ago, and the use of drugs has gone down dramatically, and nobody's been put in prison. So I think a few places around the world are good to experiment with, and also just a few states in America are good to take the initiative and try something out. That's the way our country has developed over the last 200 years, is by a few states being kind of experiment stations. So on that basis, I'm in favor of it.